immediate effect. That decision isn't final. Instead, it simply means the ban, which affects Iran, Sudan, Libya, Chad, North Korea, Somalia, Yemen, can remain in place while the courts evaluate whether or not it's legal. Of the 9 justices, only Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg signaled they opposed letting the ban take effect, of course. So it's a strong sign it will be upheld when and if the court hears the actual case. Mark Stein, thankfully not covered by any of the countries listed in the travel ban. He joins us tonight. Great to see you, Mark.
Hey, good to see you, Tucker.
What does this mean?
But he could ban me.
He could
ban me. Well, because the president, I mean, you're right, it's a big victory. But if you take it in harness with the last half hour, essentially you have had, since this administration won a year ago, the permanent bureaucracy and the courts ganging up basically to cripple the executive branch. And the fact that he had to go to court to get a temporary stay in these 2 lower-level court bans on his travel ban actually tells you something about what an insane situation we're in. The statutory language is quite plain. The president has the authority to ban by proclamation any aliens or class of aliens. So he can ban me personally by proclamation. He can ban all Canadians by proclamation. Or he can ban classes of Canadians. He can ban Canadian tap dancers because he thinks they're a threat to the American tap dancing industry. The language in the statute couldn't be plainer, and a horribly politicized judiciary, like the horribly politicized policeman you've been talking about earlier, has pushed language beyond its meaning in order to deny the president his most basic executive authority. So
here's the trend that I'm seeing. Tell me if you see it too. The least democratic parts of our government, which would be the courts and the bureaucracy, neither elected by voters, are getting more powerful, and the most democratic parts, the president and the Congress, are getting less powerful. So the democracy is actually withering right now.
Absolutely. You have a permanent state. President Obama famously said in 2009, elections have consequences. The permanent bureaucracy and the courts are saying to the people, elections have no consequences. Right. You can vote for whatever you think you want, but we're going to ban it. We're going to go ahead and conduct business as usual. And that's why this court decision is actually, the fact that it's necessary is an affront to any kind of self-government by the people and for the people.
But what's so funny? But our elites love that. I mean, it's so in their Orwellian turn, they keep warning us that the election of someone they don't like is a threat to democracy. Democracy dies in darkness. But the control of the federal government by people who've never been elected, whose names you don't know, the permanent bureaucracy, that's democracy? I mean, it's literally the opposite of what's true.
Yeah, and what's disturbing to me is you find this attitude in Brussels, for example, where there's a bunch of civil servants that seriously think they know better than the peoples of 28 nations. And the whole point about the U.S. system is that it was created to prevent this kind of divide between the governed and the people. And actually, I think they should have gone further, the Supreme Court. They should have, in a sense, skipped the temporary stay and just declared that this is obviously within the terms of the president's statutory authority, and that if you object to it, you might as well do what Democrats and the civil service seem to want to do, and that is to simply pass a constitutional amendment to say that in the event, God forbid, any Republican should happen to be elected president, then the entire executive branch shall just be put in the deep freeze for 4 years and will cease to do anything whatsoever, because that's what they've been trying to do since last November.
And that's basically what's happened, unfortunately. Mark Stein, thank you. That's a deep analysis. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Well, a gun control group is using horrifying photographs of a murdered woman lying covered in blood on the ground from the Las Vegas shooting 2 months ago in order to raise money. The defender of that approach is here next. Stay tuned.